Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion, Yevamos, Daf Lamed Hey number 35. Today, the Daf deals with Machlokes, primarily on Lamed Hey and Aleph. Machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosi. The Machlokes, normally we learn when a woman is previously married or previously had relations with a different man, you have to wait 3 months before marrying her. Why do you have to wait 3 months? The reason you have to wait 3 months is because only after 3 months we know for sure that if she has a child, it's from the second husband. If you get married before 3 months, we're not sure if she has a child afterwards. Maybe it's a 9-month child from the first husband, or maybe it's a short-term child from the second husband. So therefore, because a woman's not going to give birth 6 months or less, within 6 months or less, she's not going to give birth. We're going to know it's from the first husband, not from the second husband. We want to know who the child is from. So there's two brises that the Gemara quotes. In the middle of Lamed Ham, a convert, or a woman who was ransomed, or she was a shifcha, she was a maidservant, and she was freed, right? And then she wants to marry a Jewish person. She has to wait. He says you're allowed to get married right away. Interesting to note, he says li'aris v'linasi. There's no significance to Erisin giving her kedushin. Erisin normally thought it was giving her kedushin. There's no significance in that. There's no isser. The problem is the beila, right? When they're gonna have a child, we're not gonna know, and that's only nisuin. So why does Rabbi Yossi say li'aris? Why does he have the word li'aris? That's questionable. And then the Gemara has another brisa later on. He says she was raped or she was seduced. So again, Rabbi Yehuda says you have to wait 3 months, right? And Rabbi Yossi says no, you don't have to wait. You could be ma'aretz menaseh miyad. Now, the Gemara explains the machlokes, seemingly explains the machlokes in Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda. The final explanation of the machlokes. Rabbi Yossi says all these cases when she's a convert or she's shvuya, shivcha, or she's mizana or mafuta, all these cases she doesn't want to have a child, right? She doesn't want to have a child either because she wants to know whether it's from a Jewish father, or she doesn't want to have an out of wedlock child. It's a pugam. It's debasing to have a child like that for the mother, for the child. So therefore, she's going to turn over. She's going to be raped or whatever, and then after she's finished, she'll turn over to make sure she doesn't become pregnant. Semen will come out of her. And Yehuda's Machmir holds, you're right. That's the thoughts of women in these situations, but we're concerned she's not going to be so diligent in doing this, and some of this sperm is going to remain in her, and she's going to become pregnant. That's the reason after the Chalos and Yehuda. Now, there's one case the Gemara discusses that is not really answered by this explanation, and that's the case of Nishtacharu was the first right. So there's a couple ways of being Mishachar. If the Adon, the master, wants to Mishachar the Shifcha, he can do so voluntarily. You can just write a shtar and be Mishachar her. Or sometimes he's forced to be Mishachar her. Like the Gemara notes, if he knocks out a Shein Ba'ayin, he knocks out a tooth of hers, he knocks out one of her eyes, or the Gemara in Kedushin says he knocks out one of the Roshei Varim, 24 prominent limbs in the woman, so therefore he has to free her also. And is there a reason to say, does Rabbi Yossi's reasoning still apply that she's going to mishape? She doesn't know that he's going to free her. That she's going to lose an eye or tooth tomorrow. She was Nevelas a day ago, 2 days ago. So how could we assume that she's going to mishape? Why does she care? That's Tozus Shanim's question. He brings Rashi. Isha mizana misapecha shel disaber. Tozus Shanim says, "Uperish hakunshas yotze b'shen v'ayin ma'ikal ameim." Rabbi Yisham the shiny hipach to kill v'mkein afhi misapechas v'linira. So he brings Rashi. Rashi says, yeah. Also, Yosef b'shen v'ayin. It's very easy to turn over. She'll turn over also. Tozus Shanim says two questions. Imken ikar teres chaser min hasefer. It should say that it's flipping over is easy. It didn't say that. And second of all, there's a reason to say she's not going to turn over. She's not going to want to make sure she doesn't become pregnant. She also hold it avadim. She wants to have avadim. She wants to have sons who will be good servants. She doesn't know. So the Nomar, so Toz John answer is that right? Rabbi Yossi would agree in this case. He only says it in the other cases. Shane Nishtachara is talking about Eroy Shtar Shechor, but and when she heard about it, she knew she was going to be free, but she didn't know she was going to be freed. She's not going to be mishapich. That's what he's trying to say. Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi says that she will be mishapich. So I want to answer. Explain Rabbi Yossi's Shita a little better. Is that how do we explain Rashi over here? So I want to explain Rashi that based on the fact that Rabbi Yossi says that he allows her to li'aris linase. He doesn't say linase. You can't just get married right away. You have to do eris and nisuin. Meaning now she's a Jewish woman. She's nishtachara. So she has to do eris and nisuin. Only if she does eris and nisuin, right? You have to do eris and also why? Because you do eris and people when you have the eris and the kedushin. Normally now it's not really separated. But now it could be separated. If you assume Arison is just sending Sivlonos, could be Arison. Sending gifts, the Kala, she becomes a Kala, you have the Vort. It's called Sudas Arison. She becomes engaging, and practically now she becomes engaged. When you become engaged, there's at least 2 month, 3 month, 4 month period, 6 weeks, 2 months, 6 weeks to 4 months period, where there's an Arison, you move reses. That's a big period, and people hear about this stuff. It's big news, If you're in the shidduch world nowadays, what's that website that's called there's a website only simchas or something like that. Everyone knows about that. Everyone knows what's going on. So Yossi says everyone knows what's going on. If she's going to give me a reses over here, if she was really pregnant from somebody else, she's going to tell everybody. She's not going to want to, right? People are going to find out what happened in their past. It's going to be a public matter. If she's willing to go through Eris and Yisuin, we could assume, Rabbi Yosef says, we can assume for sure that she is confident that she wasn't impregnated from a different man. Because then people will cast aspersions on her and say, oh, maybe it's from the other man. The fact that Rabbi Yosef says, the fact she's willing to put herself on the line, and do Eris and Yisuin, we could assume for sure that if she had bia with somebody else, she would vada with his hapcha. And even if she was free with Shane Va'ayin, the fact she's the Eris and Nisuin shows that she's confident that either she didn't have relations previously with somebody else in the past 3 months, or she wasn't Ishapech, and that would explain Rashi's Shita. Hope you enjoyed today's Iyun Benzion. See you in Mishnah Yomi.